When it all comes down to it, there's only one thing that really matters in Dungeons & Dragons overall. The game. Ha! You just lost the game, by the way. I've been waiting to do that for like 30 years. But also, each moment to moment, each combat, each one-liner, each character death, each victory. It all comes together and creates a wonderful thing we call a session. So what happened at your last session? Tell us about it in the comments below. In our previous session, we were scouting out the creepy old house in the swamp where a hag coven lived. My rogue was picking a lock which set off a magical trap and alerted the hags. After failing a bunch of wisdom saves, half my party was grappling my rogue to keep him from running all the way back to town. We managed to get away from the house and find a safe spot a few miles away to regroup and to rest. That night, I scoured my character sheet for anything the rogue might have to help kill these hags. Well, I saw that he had Boon of the Night Spirit, but I'm not sure the hags won't just be able to see him when he's invisible. He's got no magical weapons to speak of besides a +1 silvered quarterstaff, which he's not proficient with. He does have this bag of devouring, though. A 50% chance of being sucked into the bag, plus a DC 15 con save to get out. Doesn't sound like great odds, but it's the best move I've got when the stuff goes down. So, this past Sunday's session, we make it into the house, and up to the second floor when the hags make their appearance. A night hag and a green hag. My rogue goes invisible and makes his way around the melee to within 5 feet of the night hag. On my turn, I announce, I've been planning for this for 2 weeks, and I hope to the gods that it works. I describe taking out the bag of devouring, holding it carefully on the outside, and suddenly slipping it over the night hag's head. I roll a decent unarmed strike hit. The DM rolls the percentiles and zoop! The hag is in the bag. Cheers and high fives all around the table. Now, I knew my rolls were legit. The DM could have been fudging his save rolls, but I really don't care. After that hag mini had left the battle grid, I felt like goddamn Superman. We killed the rest of the hags, rescued a mangy dog from the second floor, and the kids they had confined on the third floor. My rogue got to help comfort the children by letting them feed bits of their rations to his new dog. The kids were returned to their parents, and a 1,500 gold piece reward was given to my party, all by the mayor. But now, I need to find a dog bed for the keep. Well, some weird stuff happened. We kind of found out about a homebrew thing my DM made called Guardians, kind of like an upgraded cleric. They're chosen after the one before them dies, and there's one for each god. They have some really powerful magic, and now we're facing off against one of them. And that's where the session ended. So, last session for us was a lot of fun. The duel between the barbarian and the orc champion was enjoyed by the other players just as much. They were content to listen with little interruption. I'd opened up opportunities for them among the spectators. I used the fight to further the barbarian's personal narrative by having her hunter god that ties into the zealot subclass finally take notice. Whether as a gesture of respect, a glance of evaluation, or the targeted gaze of a predator upon prey, who yet knows? I feel like I may have gone too deeply into the barbarian's narrative to the detriment of the other players, however, so I intend to ease back while introducing elements for the other players. After the fight, the group chose a circuitous path that bypassed an encounter that I had set up that would have given them some kind of a cathartic release, but I've got more opportunities to bring it back up. They spoke with the Child Lord about his grandfather's deal with the Orc clan, and after some persuasive talk from the whole group, they were finally able to break past the Imperial Embassy's hold on the young Lord's ear. As the conversation wrapped up, the Guildmaster burst in, hurling accusations of incompetence and dereliction of duty at the City Watch captain, now the only advisor. I did this, admittedly, because I knew the sorcerer would be entertained by it, and hopefully be more open to role-playing the event out. The mines have gone silent, and people that she sent in to retrieve word about it aren't coming back out. There were guards, of course, but clearly they weren't of any use, as she very derisively comments. which is basically when the party decided, hey, it'd be a good moment to bring that up. Actually, they tried to warn them about the mine being under threat, but the news was dismissed by the Lord's advisors. Well, no surprise to the Guildmaster, who very clearly and openly has a poor opinion of the increasingly red-faced and bushy-bearded captain. This was very fun to act out, and I can also admit that I'm trying to better differentiate how I roleplay different NPCs, and I went all in here. The young lord, in an attempt at juvenile diplomacy, offered the party services in figuring out what went wrong. The Guildmaster approves after hearing about their recent exploit and the fact that they're not a member of the City Watch, which certainly raises the party's value in her eyes. The group is a little bit put off that the Lord would give their services away without their input, but accepted the mission nonetheless. They're actually hoping that after dealing with the orcs and the news that something may be happening at the mines will finally prove to the Lord that their warning of war coming from the mountain giants and goblinoids is valid. We left it there as the group and Guildmaster leave the town master's hall together. I have been playing the Dragon Queen's Horde with my 3 nephews, all in elementary school, and when the dragon came out to attack the castle keep, the oldest decides he wants to actually try and tame it. I tell him he can go and try to talk to it, Aarakocra, so he can fly, but he will roll his persuasion at disadvantage because this adult dragon doesn't really care about a little bird like him. Cue him rolling a double nat 20. No, I don't let him tame it, but needless to say, he convinces the dragon to leave the battlefield. He didn't really want to be there anyway, but he will have a request or a favor to ask of him later on in return for him leaving. I felt this was a good way to maybe give them a chance to perhaps make an ally, if not friends, with an adult blue dragon for later entertainment. Plus, it could segue pretty well into a later part of the module that involves dragon eggs. Kinda thinking of giving them a Pokemon scenario, pick your one Pokeball, or, I mean egg, and get one of the 3 dragon wormlings to become your 4th party member. I feel like it should all work out, but the double 20s really threw me for a loop for a moment. In the meantime, I look forward to giving them a chance to learn how to raise a dragon, trying to decide which chromatic dragons I should give them the option of. If it were me, I would pick a silver dragon. Silver dragons are technically lawful good, but they have no real inclination to seek out evil or injustice and right the wrongs. However, they let people come to them and then they'll take over from there. They love to protect humans and elves, so that's actually a pretty good one to start off with. Here's a little background. It was a 2-person campaign with me now as DM and my brother now as the player. We swapped. I took over when we reached 15th level. We essentially leveled every session because of our experience with other kinds of games and the way we would study our material almost every day. This is our first time playing D&D, though we do have plenty of RP experience, having started in January just before Critical Role's 2nd campaign started. At this point, we're all at 16th level, cause it's also a test campaign so we can see what the levels have to offer, what we like, don't like, etc. I have a DM PC High Elf Abjure Wizard, and my brother was a human Way of the Open Hand Monk, and a secondary PC who's actually the main in terms of RPing, as his main has little in the way of charisma. Wood Elf Ranger Hunter. We just got a friend to join us for the first time this session with a human champion fighter, so I figured we'd just rescue his character from some pirates, which worked out perfectly because we were sailing from one city to another. We made it to our destination after utterly destroying these pirates. We get to the city and split up immediately. We send the monk out to do a little reconnaissance of the castle we need to infiltrate to rescue someone, while the rest of us go shopping because, long story short, there was a siege, and we needed to get out of there ASAP and ended up teleporting to an unknown location with 0 resources. So with little gold and no real supplies, we do what we can to stock up. At night, we take refuge at a tavern, of course, and do a little bit of gambling, you know how it goes. Our new fighter friend wins quite a bit of copper for himself, and we have some fun. In the morning, however, my wizard learns, then prepares Disguise Self and Charm Person, so he and a wizard NPC we're helping out can disguise themselves as Kingsguard to get into the castle. find out where the person we're supposed to rescue is located, and then go back in later to break them out. The 2 players who are not included in this plan agree to this plan. Well, my naive self thought they would just hang out and gamble some more until they got back. Nope! The monk and fighter, as the ranger was elsewhere at this time, again, long story, chose to infiltrate the heavily guarded and heavily defended castle by themselves, even though 2 wizards were already doing that. Okay, fine, I think to myself, they're going to have to roll, and I let them know up front that there is a high chance that they're going to get captured and imprisoned. You know what? They ain't scared. They both only have decent stealth and only cause the fighter took medium armor master. They don't care. So the monk starts to run up the wall, as monks do, and ends up taking out 3 guards silently, rolling high stealth each time, much to my surprised delight. Of course, I didn't want them to fail, but everything was stacked against them. Anywho, so the monk eventually gets the fighter up the 40-foot wall and down to the other side. But going down the other side, they manage to capture some attention. No problem. Don't worry about it. They'll just hide in a tree. And they do. Rolling high stealth. Again. Okay, cool. Fine. Whatever. Now there's 6 king guards near them trying to find them. So our brilliant -1 to intelligence monk throws a fruit from the tree he's in to the other side of the pond, and all of the guards rush over. Well, our fighter believes now is the time to drop out of the tree and run on the ground to the other side of the castle. He's obviously noticed and chased down. However, this does give our monk the perfect opportunity to slip in while all the attention is on the fighter. While the monk ends up slipping in and taking out Kingsguard here and there, he ends up getting quite lost. Our fighter, on the other hand, had a good bit of a head start on the Kingsguard and is able to slip into a door that I roll is not guarded, cause they're all outside chasing him down. That, and he slips in and then just stands there, like a suit of armor. It's like a Monty Python skit. Now, he had asked before, and I tell him there are no other suits of armor like this one in this particular hallway, and make him roll I can't remember if it was a deception or performance check, but either way it was charisma and he was not proficient in it. He just rolls a nat 20. Yeah. So a Kingsguard looks right at him, but passes him by, and goes outside, leaving our fighter to eventually get downstairs to the dungeon. The fighter ends up distracting the 2 guards at the bottom of the stairwell to the dungeon, and runs in such a way as to avoid notice the whole time, all while getting them away from their station so he can just slip by. He ends up finding our quarry, and is just standing there, with no plan. Ain't got a brain cell between them, does he? So this is when I, such the gracious DM that I am, step in with my wizard, who is still disguised as a Kingsguard, to show up through his dimension door to get them both out. I have home ruled that higher level castings of Dimension Door allow for more creatures to be brought through, and so we get out of the castle to our other wizard companion. Our wizard NPC, Enchanter, is still disguised as a Kingsguard and leads the fighter out the front gate. My wizard, in the meantime, Dimension Doors our quarry outside the castle walls, but has to go back in to save our frickin' monk! So going back to him, he has absolutely no trouble with his stealth checks and subsequently stunning any guards he may run into. We both roll well, and my wizard is able to find his monk friend and get him out. Suffice to say, it was a wild night. Definitely, at least, my second favorite session so far. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and for the algorithm gods, leave a comment down below, letting us know what happened in your last session. We love you all. See you next time. Toodaloo for now.